Hey folks, Real Honesty with John Ritlin. I'm John Ritlin, and this is another WCW themed countdown I'm going to be doing over the course of 3-4 shows, depending on how long I go. Top 20 favorite WCW wrestlers. Now, this is not going to include tag teams. Already doing a tag teams list. And I've already done a WCW tag teams list. So I'm just going to talk about stars that were great as singles. Now, they could have been involved in tag teams, but they had to have been at least had some measure of success as a singles wrestler, and they had to impact me as far as like, oh wow, I want to see what happens with these guys. Like I really do. So I was going to originally do a top 25, and I'm like, no. So I'm already doing a top 25, and I also had to set guidelines. This is taking place from when Ted Turner bought the company, like sometime in '88, all the way till 2001. And yeah, I'm going to also do the flip side, top 20 least favorite WCW wrestlers, which will probably be easier to compile people for. As this one, I had to work on it over the course of a couple hours, over the course of a couple days, just figure it out. Now, without further ado, here we go with the list. Number 20, Cactus Jack. Really, his feud with Vader is pretty much why he's on here, because Foley was a bit marginalized in WCW, which was really sad. I mean, yeah, he was involved in a tag team, a couple tag teams, one with Max Payne, one with Kevin Sullivan near the end of his WCW run in '94. But his feud with Vader, like in '93 in particular, is why this is on here. Yeah, the whole Lost in Cleveland thing was ridiculous. In fact, it was shit. It was total shit. It was absolutely horrible. But that and his great match they had with Sting at Beach Blast '92, which is an underrated gem of a pay-per-view, by the way. In spite of the fact that Jesse Ventura is wearing brightly colored shirts that are better than his announcing. And sorry, I mean, Jesse Ventura at that point just didn't pop as an announcer like he used to. But anyway, Cactus Jack, from the first time he came into WCW, was basically just Cactus Jack Manson, something like that. And he left and went to Japan, then came back in '91 and was used a lot better, but still was pretty marginalized. Now, I'm not saying he should have ever been WCW champion. I don't think that would have worked at that point. It wouldn't have. Had he stayed around and hung around for another year or something like that, probably not, but he might have been, TV or U.S. champion at some point. I mean, they made the Renegade, R.I.P. to the man playing him, but they made the Renegade TV champion in 1995. If Foley had stuck around that long, it might have been him. But anyway, Cactus Jack gets on here basically because of a couple great feuds that he had. I mean, and that feud with Sting was pretty good. Match in '91, then at Beach Blast '92. And that feud with Vader in particular is why he's on here. Number 19, William Regal, because he was a great TV champion. He was just a great heel, tremendous heel. His work with Ricky Steamboat, Johnny B. Bad, and a few others is why he's on here. I mean, the guy was just a great technician, smooth in the ring, good on the mic. I mean, Regal was never great on the mic, but he certainly was great when he, wanted to get under people's skin. Under everyone's skin, and he did well at that. Yeah, his second run in WCW maybe less so, because he had gone to WWE, he had the drug issues and got released, and then went back to WCW for a bit before coming back to WWE. It's a damn shame that Regal was actually never able to be WWE champion. I mean, I know it's about WCW, but he had health issues and also got popped for a wellness violation. But his run as TV champion and his team. I mean, I'm going to include like the fact that he teamed up with, he teamed up in the Blue Bloods with Earl Robert Eaton, a.k.a. Bobby Eaton, and Squire Dave Taylor. They had some good runs, and Regal, like I said, was a great TV champion. And him and Steamboat had some great matches. And it was really good stuff. Really, really good stuff. Regal deserves to be on there because tremendous worker, and he would work hard to get people over. And then, of course, there's that infamous match in the beginning of '98 with Goldberg, where I don't blame Regal necessarily. Goldberg was impactful for what he was, but was never a technician. Well, William Regal gets on here just for the reasons I mentioned. Number 18, Dustin Rhodes. No, not as a 7 character. Look at this crap I'm wearing right now. Or I want you to take a look at this crap I'm wearing right now. I look like Uncle Fester. That was pretty funny. But his run in particular in 91 to 95, not the King of the Road match, that was shit. And sorry, Barry Darsow saying that it was a great match. Look, I'm glad they didn't die, and I'm glad that nobody got seriously hurt. But, I mean, Jesus, that match was shit. And that match was going to be shit no matter who was in it. In fact, at some point, I think I might have to do a 50 worst pay-per-view matches in WCW history and a 50 best pay-per-view matches WCW history. Probably sometime in 2018, because I got a lot of shows lined up now. But back to Dustin Rhodes. He had a good run as U.S. champion. He was tag team champion at one point. He was a really, really good worker. I mean, he still is now, but I'm just saying, in that particular run of 91 and 95, is a great, great worker. I mean, his work in later 99 to 2001, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't great. But that run in 91 to 95, at least, like, you know, especially 91 to 94, you make great matches with guys like Rick Rude, Steve Austin, Arn Anderson, just really good stuff. Dustin was an incredible worker back then. I mean, again, still is. He's gotten himself in great shape, but that run in particular is often forgotten about as being really, really good for his career. Number 17, Rick Rude. Ranked a little low, people might say, but you got to think about it. He came in 91 and was injured in like April of 94. Like late April, early May of 94. Suffered that career-ending back injury. So he's really only active in the ring, and I mean, I think he even had an injury at one point around Starrcade 92 where he couldn't compete. It was Starrcade 92 or 93. I think it was 92. But he couldn't really compete for a bit. So he only had 2 really active years in the company. And it worked, don't get me wrong. You know, he's a U.S. champion. He was a great international heavyweight champion when he beat Ric Flair at Fall Brawl 93. And that's often forgotten about, that they did with Rick Rude what Vince wouldn't do, and that's put the big belt on him. Even though that turmoil with the NWA was going on. But Rick Rude, the match that he had with Sting at Clash of Champions in November of 91 still sticks out in my mind, because I remember as a 10-year-old kid, nearly 11, Sting had his knee injury. And, you know, I mean, I'm a kid, so it's like I don't know any better, but Sting took me back from the hospital. I'm like, oh, there's no way he's going to do this. No way he's going to do this. And he almost does it. And then Rick Rude clips his leg and manages to pin him. And I remember being just so pissed off at Rick Rude because of that. I mean, it's one of the few kid memories that sticks out in my mind, besides seeing Ward settle the score when I was 9 years old. Or no, 4 years old. I mean, not 9 years old. Not that old. Sometimes I feel like it. But it was great. It was great stuff. And that in particular. And then Rick Rude having a great U.S. title run. And then having another great U.S. title run in 93. Where Dustin Rhodes would eventually capture the belt from him. And then Rick Rude would win the International Heavyweight Championship. It's such a shame that he suffered that back injury. I think he was only 35 when he suffered it. He would have been 36 at that point. Still damn shame. I mean, damn shame anyway. But yeah, just Rick Rude's time in WCW was really, really good. I mean, part of the Dangerous Alliance, part of that team with Steve Austin. Just really good. Just really, really good stuff. Rick Rude, tremendous worker, tremendous heel. It's such a shame that he got injured. But boy, what a just over 2 years he had in the company. Number 16, Kevin Nash. Now, I'm going to say this much. Scott Hall's not on here. Because as impactful Scott Hall's debut was, and as good as Scott Hall was in the ring, his demons really took hold of him by sometime in 97, 98. I mean, it's like barely even 2 years into his run, he was clearly off the wagon. I mean, it's sad. It's sad. And he's clean now, and that's good. But Scott Hall's not on here because I can't think of a lot of great matches that Scott Hall individually had. Yes, he was part of tag teams and stuff, but Nash at least was part of some great moments. He had a breaking Goldberg streak, which we can all argue till the cows come home, and I didn't think it was a good idea. Not a good idea. It's horrible. It was garbage. But Nash had some better matches with people. was actually able to bump pretty well. And Scott Hall was involved in some good matches also. I mean, it's not that Scott Hall was any slouch. But Nash lasted longer in the company than Hall did. Because Hall's demons took hold and just wouldn't let go. Like, Scott Hall would get an honorable mention here. If I did a top 25, he might have actually, I might have bumped people back and he might have been number 20. But, yeah, sorry, Scott Hall's not on here. But Nash, multi-time world champion, sure, in a time when the belt was being passed around more than a Kardashian or a Jenner between NBA players. But yeah, Nash had that really, really cool heel-like persona, but, he was hard to boo because, yes, even though the injuries and that kind of stuff, and he threw his back out picking up Big Show, the Giant, who is also not on here, as great as the Giant was. Sorry, he's not on here. Because after his initial run, like as world champion, they barely used him well at all. He was flip-flopping from face to heel. But Nash is on here because of his time as world champion, but also he was part of some pivotal moments. For better or worse, he was part of some pivotal moments. And it's hard to argue against Nash being on here as opposed to those two other guys. Now, was Scott Hall a better worker than Kevin Nash? Absolutely. Absolutely 100%. But same with the Giant. Was the Giant a good bumper? And could do some amazing things for his size? Absolutely. But a lot of it was how they were used. Nash was always presented as a star. I mean, yeah, he would lose some matches here and there, but he was always presented as a star. So it's good stuff. Then we go to number 15, Hulk Hogan. Now, controversial because, yes, the whole racist rant and all that stuff and everything. And yeah, maybe if that hadn't happened and maybe if Hogan hadn't held a bunch of people down, Hogan would be ranked higher. Hogan did a lot and legitimized WCW. That's one thing that cannot be argued. As hardworking as that talent was before Hogan arrived, Hogan helped legitimize WCW and did very well for them, got them great business. Yes, the fans started to turn on him within a year, which was understandable because it ran wild and, the whole Hulkamania thing and stuff like that, and Hogan getting the popularity up for WCW. And I mean, there were other guys that came over. I mean, in my opinion, Savage, I think, helped the company and helped talent more than Hogan did. Because Hogan would tend to, he would bury quite a few times. I mean, yes, he did lose matches, but then they would always be lost via shenanigans. He rarely lost clean. Like, it was always interference and then he would lose. Like, when he lost the title to Lex Luger at, the Nitro before Road Wild 97. Which was admittedly shocking, but then Hogan won the title right back. But you can't argue against the success. That big match that Hogan had with Ric Flair at Bash at the Beach 94. Sure, he was involved in some ridiculous shit. That feud with Warrior, it was dog shit. Shocking because Warrior was involved in something dog shit. But Hogan, yeah, all that stuff aside, I mean, the guy did some great numbers for WCW. Yeah, an ego the size of Texas. You have to have an ego the size of Texas. I'm not excusing Hogan. I'm not excusing Hogan at all, but it made the press and got a lot of attention to WCW when he went there. And him turning heel spiked it up a lot. So no, Hogan's work rate was never really all that great. But part of the reason why I ranked him on here at all is because of him coming to WCW, that Bash at the Beach match he had with Hogan, or with Ric Flair rather, that Hogan had with Flair, and that heel turn. Like, yeah, by 98, 99, 2000, it was ridiculous, and Hogan could barely even move, and that was back then, and then he still continued to wrestle after that in WWE, and then tried to do it in TNA Impact Wrestling, and that was bad. His time in WCW, for a period of a few years, was really marketable and really impressive, and that's why Hogan's on here. So yeah, other guys like Scott Hall Giant might not be on here, but that's why Hogan's on here. So that's actually where I'm going to leave this off in about 15 minutes. So anyway, that's what I got to say. So what do you think of the list so far? Agree, disagree, like, share, comment, subscribe. Twitter link is in the description. It's been Real Honesty with John Ritlin. I'm John Ritlin, and I will see you soon.